Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's art stream. I'm Eroivus, Brian, and today we are going to be this is basically a part 2. Good evening, Icarus. Welcome. This is basically kind of like a part 2 of the art stream we did last week. Last week, if you joined me, you got to see me developing film, and that that film dried, and I have sleeved it, put it into these sleeves here for protection. And today we're going to be looking at some of that. We're going to see what I developed, and I'm going to work some editing magic on these things. So I'm really hoping you're looking forward to that. Hey, good evening, Lizzie. Welcome. You made it. Congratulations. Let me know if the audio's too loud, if the music's too loud, anything like that. I have to tweak my settings a little bit. So, I think I'll actually turn the music down just a skosh, just a little bit there. But yes! So I shot 2 rolls of medium format film, which is larger than 35mm film. I shot that a few weeks ago in one of our local cemeteries here, Greenridge Cemetery in Saratoga Springs, New York, just a very short drive from where I live, and it's one of our oldest ones in this area. The oldest headstone in that cemetery dates back to 1796, and it is still in use today. There's about 14,000 people buried in it. And it is very, very clearly delineated. There's a new section and an old section. So I was like, you know what? We just had a snowfall, and I still want to take my medium format camera for a spin. So we're gonna take a look at what we got. So I'm gonna start off tonight by showing you every single image, all 32 images that I shot, because each roll gives me 16 images, and I've already indicated which ones I'm going to edit here. So yeah, so all I have done so far, I've just scanned the film. I've done no Photoshop or post-production work of any kind. All I've done is scan them at high resolution. There's been no changes, so these are all the images that you are about to see are as shot. I've done nothing to them yet. So let's just begin. Just go right in order here. As I said I would do this, you get to see all the images that I shot. There's a lot of crypts in this particular cemetery. This particular image is, in fact, the oldest one. This is the one from 1796. And I'm going to be doing some editing work on that to bring the inscription, the writing, out a little bit more clearly there. Good evening. So many headstones. Thank you for the bits, Lizzie. Death! Ride to ruin and the world's ending! Death! This cemetery also has a lot of pine trees in it. And I love the texture on some of these trees. And so I just could not help myself. I had to exercise my inner Edward Weston on some of these. But again, all the images you're looking at right now are as shot. I have not done, any editing of any kind. I need to change that screen. I don't know why I'm getting a duplicate. Okay, back to you. Couple of broken headstones and some paw prints. And we get some interesting ones, like these sort of rough-hewn crosses. Alrighty, well, lurk as you need to, Tiny Dragon. Do what you need to do. This might be one of my favorite ones from this set. Thank you for the gift sub, Icarus! Icarus, you've given a design. You've given a sub to Lizzie. So Lizzie, congratulations. Enjoy the goose emote that Tiny Dragon did for me. Enjoy the Wonka Goose, or Honka. This one is definitely a child's grave. As indicated usually by the height and just the first names on here, just Johnny and Charlie. They probably perished very early in childbirth. Or very early in childhood. Probably at childbirth or not too long after that. Yeah, this particular vault I really loved. I just wanted to get right in there. I did not see anything crawling around through the peepholes. Get our nice straight down the middle view. That I just thought was too hilarious to pass up. That was just that was me having good time. More texture, tree bark. So again, all of these are as shot. I have not done any editing. Not at any of these yet. And when I scan these, I scan them at grayscale setting. There is a setting on my scanner where I can tell it, hey, I'm scanning black and white film. But sometimes the light of the scanner, as it passes through each negative, will sometimes give the image like a slightly bluer cast, or in some cases, a slightly brownish cast, depending on the film. So I'm like, you know what? Just scan it all at grayscale, just to really emphatically make sure that it's black and white. So, getting pretty close to the end here. And see, this is just nature being lewd. Because sometimes you get shit like this. Very lewd nature. Trees can be exhibitionists sometimes. And it's like, really? Really, nature? Really? Okay. I believe that is the last one. So let's start. Yeah, that was the last one. All right. So those were the 32 images. This cemetery has a lot of monuments. I mean, being in Saratoga Springs, since Saratoga Springs is very, very well known for horse racing. We have the Saratoga, we have the horse track. There's a lot of history steeped in that. It's like the North's version of the Kentucky Derby, but for an entire racing season. So there's a lot of old money and a lot of wealth in this cemetery. So that's how you can get away with a lot of these angels and figures. So let's start with a few of these. Let's open some of these up. Which ones do I want to look at first? Let's start with you four. All right. Let's begin. Because I am such a sucker for depth of field. Make our duplicate layer. Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. That's an interesting curves. All right. Set our white. Set our black. And just like that, the image is a 1,000,000% better. I do love my wonderful, wonderful curves adjustments. Magic! Because doing this in a dark room, is fun. It's just really difficult to do. Curves. Let's get our brightness contrast on. See, because of the fact that this is black and white, I don't have to worry about things like color balance or saturation. So the main elements are going to be brightness and contrast. So you want to make sure that you have good tonal values, because that's going to be your key here. That's going to drive the point home. And contrast, not going to be too much. Good evening, live deaths, and there you are, quick on the draw. Thank you. That's good lemon water. All right. So yeah. So it's like if we remove all the contrast entirely, it becomes a somewhat staticky flat image. But if we add a little bit more contrast, the foreground definitely comes into view. And because of this snow cap that's sitting on top of this headstone, that is my separator between the background and the foreground. That's a nice sharp break. I mean, this right here is my good friend. This right here is my good friend. I do not want to lose that. Hey! This is called Señor Luz del Jazz. Oh, what an entrance, Johnny, and welcome. And thank you for the resub. Welcome, welcome. Let's dive in a little more here. Also, because we went above 15, because I went above 15 sub points last week on the art stream, it means I've unlocked a second level tier 1 emote slot. So I've commissioned Tiny Dragon once again for another emote, and I'm excited. It will not be another goose. Although I really love Honka. All aboard the emote boat. Now, what I really enjoy about shooting in medium format is that because you get a lot more surface area in a medium format negative, it's like 250% more surface area than a regular 35mm negative. It basically gives you the equivalent of more resolution, but in a film sense, which means you can get a lot more detail. So what we see here is a lot more detail in the stone itself. We've got, you can pick out the weathering of the stone, the moss and the lichens that are growing on the stone in much more detail than you could with a 35mm. You'll still get this with 35mm, just not quite so sharply. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really enjoying 35mm so much. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do here... Now, because I shot this particular image, you'll notice I shot in the shade. So, we have a few spots where the sun filters through the tree and hit. We want to keep those bright. We don't want to make the shadier areas bright as well, because that will blow us out. We want to keep that a bit gray, but not too gray. All right. This is the part that I praise Photoshop for. As you've probably noticed, there is noticeable dust and scratches that show up on the scanned image. When I'm scanning color film, I have a setting where as it scans, it will smartly fill in all those places that have dust on the negative. But that does not happen when I'm scanning black and white. So I have to remove the dust and scratches here in Photoshop. And there are two ways that I can do that. The first is by just highlighting an area. Oops. an area, going to the dust and scratches filter in Photoshop and playing around with the radius and threshold settings until I get it. But the easier method is everyone's favorite tool, the clone stamp. Certainly my favorite. Oops. You have to make those noises while you're doing it, otherwise it doesn't work. This would be a massive, massive pain in the ass if I was doing this in the darkroom, which I've done. It would just require, once I made the finished print, I would have a very, very thin paintbrush and some India ink, and I would be very carefully stippling.
1, 2, 3.
And, that's a process. God bless you if you are one of those people that enjoy stipple. It drives me up the damn wall. So thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I'm always glad to have your company. If you like what you're seeing, give me a follow, or if you're feeling absolutely generous, throw me some bits or a sub. Those are never required, of course. I'm just very, very appreciative of the companies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do hope you are enjoying. Good evening, Rosie! Yes, dead things! Dead things in snow! Snowy dead things! And then when I have a large area that has noticeable dust in it, at that point I will just highlight the area and just do a dust and scratches on it. And just like that, they're gone. And you were listening to where the music I've got in the background is from Overclocked Remix. It's from their Final Fantasy IV Remix album. If you are into video game remixes. I do not mind at all that you're lurking, Lizzie. Do what you need to do. Oops. That was a bit much. And that is where we run into some of the limitations of the Dust and Scratches filter, is that sometimes it mistakes these out of focus background highlights as dust. And we get, and it's like, no. Creates these weird looking artifacts. And it's like, no. But it had been a while since I last shot in this cemetery. It's been over a year. I think the last time might have actually been with Rosie and my dear darling April. So it was nice getting back into here with the medium format. Considerably, yes. None of this snow malarkey. But then again, I love snow, so... Yes, it is that cemetery where I found... Yes. And Trojan wrappers, yes. Yep, the very same. Yeah, Johnny. I think the first time I went shooting in this cemetery, we'd found a round headstone, a round monument, and near, or actually, it was on this, on or nearby. I forget which, but it was right in that area. There was a discarded pair of jeans. And there was some Trojan wrappers, condom wrappers. Yep. Someone had a fun night. Something was rising, and it definitely wasn't the dead. Very romantic. Very Mary Shelley losing her virginity on her mother's grave. Yes. I just snorted into my drink. Thank you! Thank you! My night is done. Thank you! Thank you! Yes! Congratulations! I am proud of that achievement, Lizzie. Alright, we're getting pretty close to done on this image. Just getting some of the more noticeable dust specks off here. And the easiest indication that they are dust specks is that they are bright white. Like they are. It's like even this snow has a bit of texture to it, whereas dust or scratches or hair they show up as bright white. And when you've been doing this for as long as I have, they can be pretty easily spotted. I've been shooting film since 2003. Okay. Getting pretty close to done. So let's see if we can brighten up the snow just a touch. Let's go to our dodge tool. Yes, we can. Good. And we start losing detail there. Okay, that's a little bit better. Tone down the exposure. There we go. There we go. Just a small, just a few trace amounts. Okay. Save you. Yes, I know. So it's like, yeah, just for comparison's sake, you can just, I'll show you. So there's our original. And that's our edited. So, I mean, you can see, you know, just how much of a difference that makes. Just on this first one. Well, let me go back to my history. Yeah, I still don't like the dodge tool, so I'll just save it. I want that separation. Alright. On to our next one. Let's go here. Let's go to one of my favorite ones that I shot of the set. Angel of music, hide and guard. Okay, no, let's not do that. Let's not do Andrew Lloyd Webber might sue me. All right. The Angel of Music is very strict. Let's. Guy's got more money than God. I'm sure he can spare it. Anyway. Like we can go super crazy contrast and just beef that all the way up to 100. But I don't think that'll be necessary here. Oh, I forgot to do a thing. Don't flatten. Hold on. Change it to RGB color. Thank you. Gives me more control here. That's better. I was wondering why my curves layer looked a little strange. Good. Brightness contrast. Not a whole lot. Pump up the brightness just a touch. Just a touch. Good. Now, by changing the image type from grayscale to color, it opens up some of the adjustment layer options to me that you normally can't use when you have an image that Photoshop that you have it set to grayscale. For example, if I was in this one, which is still at grayscale, the hue saturation and the color balance is not available to me, and neither is selective color. By changing the image type from grayscale to RGB color, I can now go into things like selective color and do things like pumping up the blacks on an image like this, or removing them. And, you know, if I take away all the blacks in this one, we get an angel that looks like he's been shot by a Dalek, if you're watching classic Doctor Who. But I can use the selective color to make richer blacks. This guy in this one really makes... Yeah. And normally, I don't like shooting in a bright, sunny, cloudless sky. But you can make it work. And I think this one worked to great effect. If I had a red filter on the lens, I think the sky would have been even more dramatic. Or if I was shooting with infrared film. Which I don't know if you can get infrared medium format. But yes, we've pumped up the blacks a bit. And can I do anything further with you? No. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Neutrals. I swear, half the fun in Photoshop will you make some of these with the figures angels like this one available in your Redbubble? I love to hoard greeting cards. That answer, Icarus, is yes. Some of these will be going up on my Redbubble, which you can get to. There's link down below, or you can type into the chat !art. It will take you to my card page, which is all my link aggregate, which has my Instagram, my Redbubble shop, Patreon, Vero, my website. There you are. My Vero and my website, along with my Patreon, contain images of the not safe for work variety. So if you're not scared of nudity and you're curious, you can see those images there. Sometimes I do not safe for work art streams on another streaming service called Picarto. Because if I were to do any... As soon as I show a nipple on Twitch, you know, I start World War III, people start pearl clutching, call Scotland Yard! So... But yes, if you would like to see some of my not safe for work there, see Vero, you can sign up on Patreon. Occasionally Twitter, I'll post some of my not safe for work, but mostly Vero. I know, Tiny Dragon, not the nips, the horror! Alright, so this one is looking pretty decent. I just have to start going into dust and scratches. Which against a background like this will be very easy to do. If you do have a Picarto account and want to follow me over there, I go by BJF Photography, Brian J. French, BJF Photography, and again, from time to time when I feel like doing some editing on my not safe for work stuff, that's where I stream it. Do a zoom in on this. I walk away for 2 minutes and suddenly there are nipples in the chat. Yes, Lizzie, I was talking about places where you can find my not safe for work art, which is on my Vero and my Patreon. And I occasionally do not safe for work art streams over on the streaming platform Picardo. If you are ever interested in seeing my not safe for work stuff. Nipples deserve sympathy too. I said someone nipples a sympathy card. I like all your cemetery. I feel like all your cemetery characters make excellent Halloween green cards. You know, a friend of mine just beat breast cancer. She definitely deserves a Nipply sympathy card. Well, that's some good news. Well done. Yes, social media will tolerate racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist bullshit, but heavens to Betsy, not female-presenting nipples. The whole roar! Think of the children! No, don't think of the children. Oh, panic. Panic! Yes, they do, Rosie. You can put nudity and mature content on Redbubble. However, when I upload them, I have to specifically indicate that this is mature content, and you have to enable when you have a Redbubble account. I don't know if it's a Redbubble account or if you're just browsing the shop, but there is some setting where you, as the customer, have to enable viewing mature content. So yes, I can put images containing nudity up on Redbubble. They're just a little trickier to find. But there are limits to that. It's like I can't, you can have nudity, images containing nudity and products that contain nudity on Redbubble, but you can't, there are limits. Obviously, nothing depicting minors and no actual, blatant pornography, which I don't shoot anyway. I think I may have one or two nude works on my Redbubble store. But yeah, those obviously have never sold anything because, again, by default, mature content, being able to view mature content on Redbubble is not enabled, and most people wouldn't think to go looking for it, but it is allowed. I think the best thing might be if you want any of my nudes as a print or anything, probably best to just contact me directly and I'll hook you up. because they're gorgeous, and I'm very proud of them, and they make up a significant chunk of my portfolio. And I miss doing the studio work for those, because obviously there's a plague on. Oh, don't worry, Rosie. It's I have thought about that. I've only done 4 patron prints so far. That's something else. That's something what Rosie's suggesting. If you subscribe to my Patreon at the $5 level, you get from me every 2 months a 4x6 print of an image of my choosing. If you are into physical merch. $5 or more gets you a print. I'm all for companies where explicitly anti-human trafficking. Yeah, I mean, yes. I think nude shoots in a cemetery would get cold. All right, I think we're about to call this one done as well. So there's our angel. Beauteous. Let's go to this one as our next customer here. That'd be a hell of an open casket funeral. Oh, he didn't need the walker. I see that. I feel like that there's a Monty Python sketch in that regard. I just want this one as a greeting card for my horde. Yes. Oh, don't worry. There were some goodies from this set that will definitely be going up. Well, thank you. Thank you, Icarus. Thank you, Tiny Dragon. I'm very glad you are enjoying. I do not need hue saturation. I want brightness contrast. There we are. Boo. I wish I had a longer zoom lens, because I really would like to have gotten just a shot of just this. Which, I mean, I suppose I still can. I did scan it at high enough resolution where I could make an image of just that. Or, you know, maybe something like this. In fact, do I have my big honkin' camera that I used to shoot these back here? No, it's still out there. I'll have to get it. Like, what did I scan this image at? So what's its native size? That's a 2400. If I were to bring this down to... No. Image size... Oh, I know that's not how you do it. I forget how... I'm having a brain fart. Anyway. But yeah. Brightness, contrast. Good question. This whole album that we're listening to is a Final Fantasy IV fan remix album. This is a remix of the theme of Edward's Harp. The theme that you hear from Edward's Harp. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy IV, that's what that is. It's called Edward's Dream Quartet is the name of the piece. Now, adjusting the contrast makes the trees darker, almost black, almost silhouette, which is what I was going for when I shot the image. Do you love the contrast, smooth as stone, the delicate fingers, the trees at the very bottom? Yes, so I wanted a silhouette because the sun is directly behind this monument. At this point, it was the late afternoon sun. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon, so that's why we're starting to get the darker sky up here. I think we can make that even... I don't think it'll need the selective color this time. It's dark enough, I think. So now, our friend Dustin Scratches, our friend the Clone Tool, again, those noises are absolutely vital. You have to make them. Actually, I'm starting to nope. I think we went a bit overboard with the clone stamp. Yeah, we did. We went just a touch overboard. Let's try that again. Yeah, that was actually too big. This actually might be a case for the Dust and Scratches filter. Yes, much better. Yes. And then I will use the clone stamp on the inner part of the stone here. But... well, maybe. I might be able to get away. Nope. Actually, the dust and scratches filter works fine here, too. It's very situational, removing dust and scratches. Sometimes your clone stamp is your best friend, and sometimes it's this wonderful, wonderful Photoshop filter. This is an issue I don't have to deal with when I'm scanning color negatives. Because, as I mentioned earlier, my scanner has like smart technology that it will automatically fill in dust and scratches using the color information immediately surrounding those areas on a color negative, whereas that won't work on a black and white. Which means despite my best efforts when I scan film, I wear gloves, I wipe down the negatives with a lint-free cloth, you still wind up with stuff. It's just unavoidable. Okay, so let's save you. Send in the clones. Because we are currently not poisoning pigeons in the park. I love how we go from like string quartet remix in the last piece to rave for Golbez's theme. Like, I feel like I should have the cheat from Homestar Runner flicking my light switch on and off right about now. Really? Really, Tiny Dragon? Really? 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 I am disappointed. I oh, lordy. They don't call it a graveyard for nothing. I do know you well enough by now, but it's just like... Alright, I said I wanted to do an interesting little crop with this one. So let's see if we can just get just that. Bits supporting Tiny's puns. Oh, thank you for the bits, Lizzie. And, okay. Alright, fine. Tiny Dragon, keep making puns. Maybe Lizzie will throw more bits at me. Sure. If I stand to gain, sure. All right. So, look at that. So I want your opinion here. Now that I've cropped it, how do you like this positioning with just the gradient of the sky in the background? I'm curious. I want your artistic opinions here. Icarus is flipping the fuck out. right. Cool. All right. I will then save it. And it's a very quiet, somber piece that evokes contemplation. Okay. I will happily take that. Thank you for that. I will keep that then. I'm a lurk again. All right. Cool. No problem. I will be here for another hour yet, so we've reached about the halfway point. So for those of you out there, thank you so much for joining me. I'm if you missed the beginning, I am editing the images that I developed on the film that I developed last week. If you join me, if you watch me then, I developed 2 rolls of medium format film, and this is what was on it, and I'm editing it. So if you missed the stream where I was developing the film, that is currently on Twitch for another week as a VOD, but it is also on my YouTube channel where it'll be there forever, and you can get there. I think the command is !YouTube. I think that'll shoot the link to my yep, there it is. Thank you, Tiny Dragon. That's where all of my streams are. All my video game streams, all of my art streams. That's where they live. Alright, let's go to the 4th one. Let's go to this one again, because again, I am such a sucker for depth of field. Image. Load color. I'm glad, Icarus. I'm glad you enjoy my cemetery photography so much. I really do. It's a lot of fun to do. My immediate thought, these gravestones are either best friends or they're a bickering odd couple who secretly love each other, or both. But I can't help but anthropomorphize everything. Every headstone needs a friend. Creepy Bob Ross diving into there. I would vote for the latter of these two. Oops. Hold on. I'm gonna do something really, really silly. Like, really silly. Like, really, really silly. And, you know, just for further shits. Thank you for the bits. And I got no privacy. The dead have their eyes on you. So this means, Tiny Dragon, I now expect at least a 4-panel comic of the bickering headstones. Oh, we're silly. I feel like Graham Chapman is gonna barge into here at any moment in his military outfit. No, stop doing it. This is far too silly, far too silly. I will say you could pull that out for April Fool's Day on Patreon. Oh! Oh, how delightfully devious! Oh! I like the cut of your jib. Oh! Oh-ho-ho! Ah-ha-ha! Ooh. All right. Silliness continues on. I would actually like to lighten this up a little bit. This looks a little too dark for my liking. So, let's go back to the dodge tool. Actually, no, I think there's going to be an easier way to do this. I think I know what to do. Our friend Magnetic Lasso. No veering off the path here. Oh, that's wonderful, Tiny Dragon. So, let's see. if this works the way I think it's going to. Okay, that's a bit better. That's actually kind of where I want to go. Yes, yes. But before I do that, let's add to selection here. So that I get all of that. That can actually stay as is. Now I'll do a new curves layer. Because I think the front headstone is too similar in value to the one on the right. So I want to make this one in the foreground a little lighter so that it actually stands out. And yeah, the magnetic lasso was a good idea. But I don't want to make that too bright, because if I do, then it starts becoming this glowing, like, orb thing. And it's like, no. Just enough to differentiate. Just enough. Especially with a curves layer, a little adjustment can go a very long way. I mean, half the fun of Photoshop is just playing around with sliders and curves and just seeing what extremes you'll come with. But for something like this, I want a more clear, distinct separation. And just to make Tiny Dragon giggle up some more. There we go. Alright, let's give this a different title, because I do not want to overwrite Googly Death here. The hell image number was that? 7. So just straight 7. Googly Death! Alright. Let's see about doing a little burning. No, not the blur tool. Burn tool. Let's bring it up. Yeah, that's not going to give me a whole lot. That's okay. Shadows. That's better. But let's turn down the exposure a bit. It's like, why aren't I getting any richer? No, schmuck, because you have the just want a little indication, a little more separation. Just a touch. There we are. There we are. That's better. A little bit more separation, especially with this line right here. Googly Death! There we go. I think we are very nearly have a finished image here, so now comes the last part of this whole fun. Our good old friend Dust and Scratches. there's a bit more variation here, so I can get away with the clone stamp as opposed to just a solid gradient of a sky. Ooh, no. Too much. Alright. I'll have to go in with a little bit closer. Get a little deeper. Do a little fine-tuning work. This is kind of like stippling a print, but with a mouse click. Let's zoom right on in. There we are. Good. There's definitely more noticeable film grain on this than I'm normally accustomed to seeing, and I think it might have had to do with the rinse water that I was using when I developed this film. Because I don't know about you, but this is definitely a seasonal thing. The water that comes out of my kitchen faucet, where I developed these rolls of film, there's a lot more air bubble in it. Like when you get yourself a glass of water out of our kitchen tap, there's a lot of teensy tiny air bubbles in it, and you have to give it 30 seconds or so for all the little tiny air bubbles to rise to the top and fizz out. That's not a problem I have in my bathroom sink where I normally develop my film. So I wonder if that extra aeration in the kitchen tap that I was using last week may have contributed to a sort of, increased graininess. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It doesn't detract from the image. I'm just not used to my medium format film looking grainy. Well, normally you get film grain, you get obvious signs of film grain when your chemicals and your rinse water all the way through. Ideally, you want all of those things to be the same temperature all the way through. And so I was developing it at 68 degrees. So I wanted all of my chemicals and my rinse water to be within a couple of degrees of 68. But I think because the rinse water that was coming out of my tap was very aerated. There's a lot of tiny air bubbles in it. The emulsion is still wet. And so you have all these tiny, tiny, tiny air bubbles that are hitting the emulsion while it's still vulnerable. And it can change it. And I think that's what happened here. Because you notice, because normally it doesn't do that. And again, not a bad effect. I mean, it's a thing that, like, if you're, like, once the film is dry, you know, you're pretty good. But when the emulsion is wet, even after you use the fixer, all the fixer does is remove the undeveloped silver and make the film safe to be brought out into the light. But when your film is wet, it is still very vulnerable to any sort of change. And I think the additional aeration that comes out of my kitchen tap may have contributed to the sort of graininess that you're seeing in the final image. Again, not a bad thing, but it's a thing that can happen. Like in early photography, like late 19th century and early 20th century, when people started pursuing photography as an art medium, there was a lot of criticism by, you know, the prevailing painters and the hoity-toity art critics at the time. There was a lot of criticism from the like painters and whatnot saying, you know, photography isn't art because a machine does it. You know, there's no artist's hand. There's no painterly or illustrative quality. You just press a button and the machine does the work for you. So, for art photographers, they were to try to gain a sense of sort of legitimacy. They would take their film that had emulsion on it, or their paper, which had photographic emulsion on it, and they would do things to it to make it look more painterly. Like, they would, while the emulsion was still wet, they'd take a brush, like a paintbrush, and they'd, you know, be very heavy-handed with it, so the image, the dried image would look like it had brush strokes, or, you know, maybe like a little knife, and they would make little etches in the wet emulsion as the image was being developed, to sort of give that painterly feel, so that the art critics of the day would look favorably on them. And this entire movement in photography is called pictorialism, and it was really, really big. Again, late 19th century, early 20th century, one of the most well-known pictorialist photographers goes by the name of Julia Margaret Cameron. And what she would do is she would cover her camera lens in Vaseline or some other sort of like petroleum jelly or some sort of lubricant. And what that did was it would give her image a very sort of ethereal, misty, sort of otherworldly feel. You know, something to try to and that was the thing with pictorialism. It was an effort to try to make the finished final image look less like a realistic photograph taken by a lens and much more painterly. And there was some really good stuff out of there. I mean, I'm not really a fan of why, you know, the idea of why, you know, that was a thing, but you get some really, really, really good work out of that. It wasn't until, you get around the 1920s, 1930s, where you have some of our more well-known names in photography, people with the names Edward Weston, Imogen Cunningham, Alfred Stieglitz, and, oh, by the way, Ansel Adams, who came together and went, you know what? Fuck the critics. There is a beauty and a joy to be had in realistic, straight photography, and the rest is history. So there's your little history lesson. Pardon me for the night. Meanwhile, this image, we can call this one done. All right, let's go back to Bridge and take a look at some more. All right. Which ones do I want to take a look at? Let's do that one. And let's get a little lewd, because nature is lewd. A nature shot. Because I'm only going to be here for 30 more minutes, so I think those three will be fine. Let's start with our lewd one here, because, you know, nature. Again, thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I really, really appreciate your company. This is an art stream this evening. I developed film last week. If you're just joining me, I developed film last week, and we're editing the images from those couple of rolls of film. So I hope you're enjoying this photography art stream. It's all natural! Yes, it is. Just like Smucker's natural peanut butter. I'm reminded of the fake ads that one of my favorite radio shows on NPR growing up. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called It used to be called the Prairie Home Companion. And one of my favorite ads, fake ads they did on that was, this first half of our show is brought to you by Powder Milk Biscuits, made from whole wheat grown in the rich bottomlands of the Lake Wobegon River Valley by Norwegian bachelor farmers. So they're not only good for you, they're also pure mostly. Whole wheat that gives shy persons the strength to get up and do what needs to be done. Heavens, they're tasty and expeditious. And it would launch into a jingle and... nature! It's all natural! Just here for some photography and chat and some good music. And we're still on that Final Fantasy IV remix album, I believe. Yes, we are. That's what I tend to do for these art streams. I'll just put on an OC remix album and go. This way it gets past the Twitch nuts who are, in the DMCA craziness, and also gets past YouTube's content ID. This is going to be a pretty easy one to edit. punch up those blacks a bit more. We can even go more on the contrast, I think. And we're fine. I mean, tree's a little cold. We've got a little snow right there. A little snow down below. And again, perfectly natural pine tree. Trying to see here. Get your brains out of the gutter, you silly. It's a good, fine Christian stream. Very fine, sophisticated program. Do not get any second thoughts. Brains out of the gutter and into the woods. The tricky part, very chaste, the tricky part in this one comes to trying to find the dust and scratches. It's like, all right, where are you? I know you're there, hiding amongst all this bark. There's one. You stick out like a goddamn sore thumb. Very chaste, absolutely. I'm as innocent as the day I was hatched. Although, for Tiny Dragon's sake, here we go. Now that's a visual. Oh, look, it's Treebeard's missing Entwife. That was horrible. That was horrible. Got wood anyway. Anyway. He found the Entwives. Don't tell Tom Bombadil. All right. In winter wild that hill and wood shall stay. We go from nature's lewdness to something a little more postcardy. Oh, that's a 1,000,000,000% better. I feel like he and Goldberry would be into that. They probably enjoy some trees, and you know. We don't kink shame here. Whatever. I mean, Tom Bombadil's been around. I mean, he's been around. Oh yeah, that's already 1,000,000% better than what we started with. Well, I suspect that this weekend, between Rosie and Icarus, I suspect I'll be putting quite a few of these up on Redbubble probably this weekend. For the card horde! Far be it from me to stop you wonderful people from throwing money at me. Seriously, though. Seriously, I mean, if I am very appreciative that you like my stuff enough that you want to actually throw money at me for them. That's like heart grew 3 sizes that day kind of ego boost. So really, just hearts. Just mwah. What is this piece? Let's pump up just a touch. Oh, okay, we're getting a little too much in the 20, I think, is gonna... Oh, that is gorgeous. They got some variation in the trees, got some nice shadow highlights, got some nice... Oh, that is good. I don't think that's going to need too much more work besides the dust and scratches. Got some moss there. I don't think selective color even will help me. I think we're... Oh yeah, Woo! If we want to be completely blown out. Or we can add yellow. That's fine. Yeah. I'll just start making things too dark. I think that is perfectly fine and surfaceable right there, just as it is. Let's remove some dust and scratches. Not gonna be a whole lot. There's another. No, you're just... Okay, you're not dust. You're a scratch. Here we are. Yeah, you... Yeah, that definitely looks like it. Yeah, that's fine. That's in the background, so I won't even notice. Boop. About 15 more minutes tonight. Do not know yet if I'm doing an art stream next week, but if I am, I will let you know by this weekend when I post my stream schedule for the week, and you'll see that on Twitter. Good night, my dear Rosie. I love you. Thank you for stopping by. I will talk to you soon. I do miss my dear Rosie. Thanks to COVID, we have not been able to see her for a year. This weekend will be 1 year since the last time she was here, spending time with my lovely wife and I. Bet your ass as soon as the border reopens, I'll be taking some significant time off. However, Rosie did get me a lovely gift, which has become something a bit precious to me, because it's such a wonderful combination of sweet and nerdy, because Rosie and I are massive, massive Lord of the Rings fans. She got me a Wormwood dice vault, and it has some Kenya inscribed on it. And it translates to, it's Gandalf's quote: "All we have to do is to decide what to do with the time given us." And yeah, very schmoopy, but I love it. I love it all the same. And inside I do keep some shiny math rocks. And I think we are gonna math rocks, the clickety clacks. And I think we are just about ready to call this one done. And I think I'll have time to do one more image this evening. There's that black and white. The black and white images are pretty easy to edit. I've mentioned before that I'm a bit of a lazy photographer. The more I get my settings correct in the camera when I take the initial shot, the less work I'd have to do here. As I've said before, for me personally, post-production is my least favorite part of the whole thing. I like it. I like the entire process, but I would rather be shooting than doing this. But it's a necessary part of the process. And Photoshop admittedly makes this so much easier, because doing this in the darkroom, oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so this will be the last one I do tonight. This will be the last one I do tonight. We are getting near the end. But again, thank you all out there for joining me and spending some of your Wednesday evening with me. Hope you're enjoying this photography art stream. And again, if you like what you're seeing, throw me a follow, or if you're feeling really generous, some bits or a sub. Those last two are obviously never required. I'm just very, very glad to have your company. Editing some images that I shot in one of our local cemeteries a couple of weeks ago. Greenridge Cemetery in Saratoga Springs, which dates back to about 1796 and is still in use today. Got about between 13 and 14,000 people buried in it. And now, just for Tiny Dragon's sake, apologies if anyone out there is devoutly Catholic, but I'm going to just for shits and giggles, I'll just put some googly eyes on this cross here. And take a sip of water. I am an atheist, but if there is a hell, I'm probably going to it. And then I'll be like, huh, well, what do you know? But then again, I would not presume to put words in Jesus' mouth. Got some nice stuff here. The crucifixion would have been a lot less somber if there was just a pair of googly eyes on. Oh boy. I'm an ex-evangelical. I'm super okay with interpreting the text. I mean, that's what the Jews do all the time. What's it doing? Selective color. Let's see if we can punch up. Ooh, yes, punch up those blacks a bit more. What about our neutrals? Nah, we start losing at that point. And the Lord said, "Thou shalt have googly eyes." That commandment was edited out, the final version. focus groups were kind of iffy on it. I think I could stand to make that. Fair enough. If the text is to be believed, God made platypuses. You can't tell me that Jesus didn't have a sense of... Right? Yeah. Yeah. Platypuses. The actual animal kingdom equivalent of Psyduck. I feel like the brightness can go a bit more on that. Yeah, it can. So I want that snow to be a bit less gray. Where is my... There's my info panel. Yeah, 172. Okay. Well, 211, actually. So we're getting close. That's about where I want it. And then he gave it to Darwin, and Darwin said, chew on that. I mean, this same deity did also give us marijuana, so, you know, take that as you will. One of my favorite boss themes in all of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy IV boss theme. It slaps. Thank you very much, Tiny Dragon. This is, incidentally, this is why I scan my negatives at high resolution, between 2400 and 3200 ppi. With film, you have to scan it at that large of a resolution to extract all of your detaily juicy morsels out of it. You can't scan at 300. 300 is print standard. You need to scan film at a much higher resolution so that you can get it to print standard. Oops. Nope. You can always downsize a large resolution file. It is much trickier to upscale it. I keep thinking about how foxes eat certain mushrooms because it gets them high, and dolphins harass pufferfish because they give off a toxin that hurts most animals, but they don't just make dolphins high, and that is something the Almighty apparently thought unlike. So, you know. And Lisa Frank made me believe they were magical. Lisa Frank, what life would look like if your children took LSD. Oh, blessed Saint Timothy Leary. All right. We have just about a completed image here. And so that's going to be the last one I edit this evening. So we'll just take you on a recap of what we've done tonight before I switch you guys over. Let me just see if there's... Let me see if Lena is on to, because if Lena is on, we are going to all head over and raid. I don't see her on. Then again, she's not streaming tonight. She had a migraine. Oh, okay. Well, I will take a look to see what other artists are presently streaming, and we'll follow you over there. But first, a recap. So let's recap. All right, so we've gotten our 2 depth of field ones. Yeah, I don't see Lena on because on my active. All right. That said, here's our recap for tonight. We got our 2 depth of field ones. We have our angel ones. And then the crop of the angel. We've got Tiny Dragon's favorite. The dead are watching. We have our little center staring down an avenue. When it's not covered in snow, this would just be a gravel path. We have our lewd, our all natural, as it were. And finally, we have our last one here, the cross nestled next to this again, carved stone, sort of tree stump looking thing. So yeah, we did quite some stuff tonight. So thank you so much for joining me. My next stream will be this Friday, 7:30 p.m. It's my end-of-week-long stream in which I will be continuing my viewer's choice playthrough of The Outer Worlds, my first playthrough of that. And, yeah, that'll be this Friday. So, again, if you like what you've seen, give me a follow. Or if you're really feeling generous, throw me some bits or a sub. Again, those last 2, always appreciated, but never, ever, ever required. I appreciate your company, most of all. So, some of these will be going up on my Redbubble store probably this weekend, and they'll definitely be shown on my Some will be hit my Patreon. Some of them will hit my Instagram as well. So be sure to follow along for all of those wonderful goodies. I don't know if I'm doing an art stream next Wednesday. That'll be something I decide this weekend as well. So we will see where we go from there. But yeah. So again, thank you all so much for stopping by this evening. I'm gonna take a look to see who is streaming art. Let's see. We've got Von Cricket. Let's go raid him. He's a cool artist as well. Let's see what he's up to. He is he's doing some art, so now yeah, let's go raid him. So again, thank you all so much for joining me, and stay safe, stay healthy, wear a fucking mask. I don't have a raid call, so just make one up. Make one up as we go along. But yes, love you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad you enjoyed, and I will see you Friday night. You can do forsooth 'tis a raid. That's fine. Let's take you to Von Cricket. Here we go.
And speaking of